Welcome to Kindle English Podcast, your cozy space to learn, grow, and speak confidently.
Hey everyone, welcome to Kindle English Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so I want you to think about something for a second. Have you ever spent years studying English grammar? Like, you know the rules, the tenses, all the vocabulary, but then someone speaks to you in a movie or a conversation and you just freeze? Everything sounds like it's going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, right?
Oh man, I felt that in my bones just listening to you describe it.
Right? And here's the weird part. You actually know the language. You studied it. But in that moment, you feel like you don't know anything at all. So what's actually happening here? Why does all that grammar knowledge not help you in real conversations?
That's the question everyone asks, isn't it? I see it all the time on social media. People saying, I studied English for 10 years, but I can't understand native speakers.
Exactly. And I think most people get this completely backwards. They assume they need more grammar. They think the answer is to study harder, memorize more rules, take another course. But Finn, what if I told you that might actually be part of the problem?
Wait, you're going there? That's bold.
Enthusiastic. Today we're talking about why listening practice might actually be more important than grammar when it comes to becoming truly fluent in English. And I'm telling you, once you understand this, everything changes.
Okay, now you have my full attention. And hey, if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share this with someone who's been stuck on the grammar treadmill. We literally read every comment, so let us know what you think about this.
We really do love hearing from you. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to introduce something that's going to come up a lot today, the idea of active listening. Have you heard that phrase before?
I think I have, but honestly, I'm not sure if I'm doing it right. What does it actually mean?
Okay, so there's passive listening. That's when you just have English on in the background, right? You're hearing it, but you're not really engaged. Active listening is totally different. You're paying attention, you're thinking about what someone's saying, you're trying to understand not just the words, but the meaning, the emotion, everything.
So it's like actually paying attention instead of just letting it wash over you.
Sincerely, exactly. And here's the thing, that's where real learning happens. Not in textbooks, not in grammar worksheets, in real listening.
Okay, but Hazel, here's what I don't get. If grammar isn't the answer, then why do schools teach it? There has to be a reason, right?
Oh, grammar is useful, don't get me wrong, but here's the distinction. Grammar is like the instruction manual. It's helpful for understanding how something works, but you don't learn to ride a bike by reading the manual about balance and friction and wheel rotation. You learn by writing.
Oh my God, that's such a good analogy. I literally scraped my knees learning to ride a bike because nobody handed me a manual.
Exactly. Your body figured it out through experience. And language is similar. Your brain is not designed to memorize rules and then apply them perfectly in real-time conversation. That's not how human brains work.
So what are brains designed for?
Pattern recognition. And here's the crazy part. We do this all the time without realizing it. Think about your first language. How did you learn it? Nobody handed you a grammar book when you were 2 years old.
Right. I just heard it and copied it and eventually figured it out.
Yes, and that process is called subconscious acquisition. Your brain is literally absorbing patterns without you actively trying. You're listening, you're noticing patterns, and your brain is building this internal understanding of how the language works.
Wait, so you're saying I'm learning without even knowing I'm learning?
Yes, that's what happens when you immerse yourself in real listening. And honestly, Finn, that's kind of the secret nobody talks about. Everyone's so focused on grammar that they miss this entire dimension of learning.
So basically, years of grammar textbooks and I could have just been watching Netflix?
Okay, not quite, but there's actually way more truth to that than you'd think. Can I ask you something though? If someone is brand new to English, like absolute beginner, just listening to a movie in English, is that actually helpful?
Honestly, I'd feel pretty lost. If I don't understand anything, how am I learning?
That's such a valid question. And this is where something called comprehensible input comes in. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but the idea is simple. You want to listen to English that's just slightly above your level.
What do you mean by just slightly?
So imagine you understand 70 to 80% of what you're hearing. You catch most of it, but there's maybe 20% that's new or confusing. That sweet spot, that's where your brain grows.
If you understand everything, you're not learning anything new. If you understand nothing, you just get frustrated.
Okay, so it's like the Goldilocks zone of listening.
Perfect metaphor. And here's why this matters. When you're in that zone, your brain doesn't need the grammar rules written out. You're building contextual understanding. You're hearing words in sentences with other words around them. You're picking up on tone, emotion, meaning.
So if I'm listening to something I mostly understand, I'm actually learning grammar without realizing it.
That's exactly what's happening. And it's happening faster and more naturally than if you were sitting with a textbook highlighting verb tenses. Your brain is learning the patterns that matter.
This is kind of blowing my mind, honestly. I spend so much time conjugating verbs, and I could have been binge watching shows.
I mean, yes, but also, don't just use that as an excuse to watch TV and call it studying. You do have to be actively listening. You have to be present.
Fine. No passive Netflix watching then.
You know what? I actually want to share something from my own experience. When I first started learning another language, I did exactly what everyone does. I bought all the grammar books, I did all the exercises, I memorized lists of vocabulary.
And did it work?
Not really, if I'm honest. I could pass a test, sure, but the moment I tried to have a real conversation, blank. My brain was trying to remember the grammar rule for past tense in the middle of someone talking to me.
That sounds stressful.
It was awful. And then I I lived with a host family for a while. No choice but to listen all day, every day, to real conversations, not textbook dialogues.
And what happened?
Excited. My listening improved faster in 3 months than it had in 2 years of study. I was picking up not just words, but pronunciation instinct, like the way native speakers actually say things, the rhythm, the natural flow, not the formal version from my textbook.
Impressed. So you're saying the immersion worked better than all that studying?
Dramatically better. And the crazy part, once my listening got strong, my speaking became so much easier. I wasn't translating anymore. I was thinking in the language.
Okay, so you're saying I should just go live with a random family in England?
I mean, if you want to, but the point is, you don't need to move. You can build that environment. Podcasts, YouTube, movies, shows, music, all of that is available to you right now.
So it's like building your own immersion, even if you're sitting at home.
Exactly. And honestly, that might be better because you can choose content you actually care about. You're not forcing yourself to listen to something boring.
Okay, but I want to go back to something you said earlier. You mentioned people studying grammar for years, but still not understanding native speakers. Why does that happen?
So this is the thing that really frustrates me. When you learn primarily through grammar rules, you're learning English as a system. You're learning rules in isolation.
What do you mean in isolation?
Okay, so you learn the present perfect tense is used for actions that started in the past and continue to the present. But when a native speaker actually uses it in a conversation, it's surrounded by contractions, natural speech patterns, maybe a regional accent, maybe they're speaking quickly.
Oh, so the rule makes sense in the textbook, but real life is messier.
So much messier. And here's what happens. Your brain is trying to match what you're hearing to the rule you memorized, but the real speech doesn't match the rule neatly, so you get confused.
That sounds frustrating.
It's incredibly frustrating. This is what I call the gap between textbook English and real English. And the only way to close that gap is through exposure to real listening. You have to hear how things actually sound. You have to build what I'd call linguistic intuition.
Linguistic intuition. What is that exactly?
It's when your brain has heard something so many times that it just feels right. Like a native speaker doesn't think about grammar when they speak. They just know how things sound. They have intuition for what's correct.
Oh, so you're building that intuition through listening.
Yes, and it happens almost magically when you give your brain enough exposure. But you don't get there through rules. You get there by listening to how language actually works in the real world.
So basically, if you want to speak like a native, you have to listen like someone trying to understand natives.
That's actually weirdly perfect, Finn. Yes, exactly. Okay, so I want to talk about something that's really specific, and I think most people miss this completely. It's about sounds, phonetic awareness.
That sounds technical. What do you mean?
Okay, so in your native language, you know how certain sounds go together, right? Like you just know what sounds English, but you probably can't explain the rule.
Right. It just sounds right or it doesn't.
Exactly. And when you learn grammar from textbooks, you're not building that intuition for how English actually sounds. You're learning rules. But the sounds, you have to hear them.
So you're saying grammar and sounds are different things?
Completely different. And here's the frustrating part. Most English learners know the grammar, but can't hear the natural speech patterns. So when a native speaker runs words together, drops syllables, speaks naturally, it sounds like a completely different language.
Oh man, I've definitely experienced that. Like did you sounds like did ya when someone says it fast.
Yes, thank you for that example. That's a natural speech pattern. Nobody teaches you that. You just have to hear it enough times and your brain figures it out. And that's where active listening comes back in. When you're really paying attention to how things sound, your phonetic awareness grows.
So you're building pronunciation instinct without even trying?
Without even thinking about it. Your ear is developing. You're tuning in to the frequencies, the rhythms, the way sounds actually flow together in English. That's receptive skills developing in real time.
Receptive skills? Is that like receiving information?
Sort of. Receptive skills are your listening and reading abilities. They're the skills where you're receiving language. And speaking and writing are your productive skills, where you're producing language.
So if I build strong receptive skills through listening,
your productive skills, your speaking, gets so much easier because your brain already knows how things sound. You're not translating from a grammar rule. You're just expressing something you've already internalized through listening.
This is making so much sense now. But also, I feel like I wasted a lot of time on textbooks.
Hey, it wasn't wasted. Grammar has its place. It helps you understand the system. But now you know, if you want to actually speak naturally, listening is where the magic happens.
Okay, so now I'm convinced. Listening is important. But where do I actually start? What should I be listening to?
Oh, this is the fun part. Because the answer is, listen to what interests you. This is huge because if you're bored, you won't stick with it.
So I could listen to anything?
Not just anything. It has to be in English, obviously, but it could be podcasts like ours, hint, hint. It could be YouTube, music, movies, TV shows, TED Talks, whatever actually captures your attention.
But doesn't the difficulty matter?
Yes. Remember comprehensible input? Find things that are challenging, but not impossible. If it's too easy, you're not growing. If it's too hard, you get frustrated and give up.
So it's all about finding that Goldilocks zone again.
Exactly. And here's something cool. As you get better, your zone changes. What was too hard 3 months ago, now it's perfect. So you keep leveling up.
What about things like listening to fast talkers or people with accents?
That's actually perfect material because that's real English. British English, American English, Australian, Scottish, accents are part of real language.
So should learners specifically seek out different accents?
I think it helps, yeah. Because in the real world, you're not just talking to one accent. You're talking to people from all over the world. And the more variety you expose yourself to, the more flexible your ear becomes. Your contextual understanding deepens because your learning English isn't one monolithic thing.
English isn't English everywhere in the same way, basically.
Right. It's the same language, but the flavor changes based on where you are. And that's beautiful, actually. You're not just learning English, you're learning about culture, about how people actually communicate.
So listening is like learning culture at the same time as learning language?
100%. You hear how people talk about things that matter to them. You pick up on what makes them laugh, what they care about. That's real linguistic intuition, understanding not just the words, but what they mean in context. I want to talk about something more personal now. The transformation that happens when you actually commit to listening practice. Because it's not just about understanding better, it's about confidence.
How does that work?
So imagine you're in a meeting or you're having a conversation with someone. If your listening is weak, you're constantly anxious. You're missing pieces, so you're not sure you understood correctly. You're worried about responding inappropriately.
Yeah, that would be stressful.
It is. But when your listening is strong, you understand most of what's happening. You catch the tone, the emotion. You know what they're really saying, not just the surface words. And suddenly, you feel competent. You feel like you can participate.
So better listening actually makes you a better speaker?
So much better, because you're not frozen trying to translate or remember grammar rules. You're present in the conversation. You're responding naturally because your brain has heard thousands of natural responses. You know what sounds right.
How long does it take to get to that point?
That depends.
If you're listening actively every day, like really engaging, maybe 30 to 60 minutes of quality listening, you can see real improvement in weeks. But the deeper transformation, that takes months of consistent practice.
So you can't expect to become fluent overnight.
Sorry to break it to you, Finn. There's no magic pill. But here's the good news. If you actually enjoy what you're listening to, it doesn't feel like work. You're literally learning while you're entertained.
So it's the opposite of studying. You're just having fun and getting better?
When you do it right, yes. And that's why listening is so powerful. It aligns learning with pleasure instead of pain and obligation.
That's actually really compelling, Hazel. I think a lot of people need to hear that they can learn English without it feeling like punishment.
Yes, English learning doesn't have to be miserable. It can actually be one of the most rewarding things you do.
Okay, so let's get specific. If someone's listening to this episode right now and they want to start, what's one thing they should do today?
Pick one thing you like. Just one. Could be a podcast, a show, a YouTube channel, whatever. Something you actually want to listen to, not something you think you should listen to.
That's it. That's the secret?
That's it. Because consistency is everything. You're way more likely to listen to something you enjoy every single day than something boring that you force yourself to do twice a week.
And while they're listening, what should they be doing? Like taking notes?
Not necessarily. Active listening doesn't mean frantically writing things down. It means being present. When you hear a word you don't know, let your brain sit with it. See if you can figure it out from context.
So you're building contextual understanding as you go.
Exactly. Your brain is working even if it doesn't feel like work. And if you hear the same word 5 more times in different episodes, your brain remembers, your pronunciation instinct develops, it all builds.
I feel like I should be taking notes on this, but ironically, you're saying not to take notes.
Right? The point is, when learning is natural, you don't need to force it. Your brain is designed to absorb language through exposure.
Can I ask one more thing? What if someone's already studying grammar and they don't want to completely stop?
Great question. I'm not saying never study grammar again. I'm saying change your ratio. Maybe it was 80% grammar, 20% listening. Flip that. Make it 80% listening, 20% grammar if you want grammar reference.
So they work together?
They can. Grammar helps you understand how language works. Listening helps you internalize how language is used. You need both, but listening is the priority if you want to actually speak naturally.
This has been really eye-opening, Hazel. I think a lot of people are going to hear this and feel relief that they don't have to be grammar robots.
That's honestly what I hope. English learning should be exciting, not stressful. It should feel natural because language is natural. We're just helping people get back to that. Okay, so as we wrap up, I just want to say, if you've been frustrated with your English learning, if you felt stuck despite studying, this might be the shift you needed to hear about.
Yeah, and honestly, even if you're already a strong English speaker, going back to active listening is never a waste. I've been speaking English for years, and I'm already thinking about how I can improve my listening game.
That's the thing. There's always another level. The language is alive and constantly evolving. So keep listening, keep paying attention, keep discovering.
And please, if this resonated with you, share it. Comment below and let us know. Have you experienced this? Have you had a breakthrough moment where listening clicked for you?
We genuinely read every comment. Your stories matter to us. And if you're on this listening journey, we're cheering for you.
Thanks so much for spending time with us on Kindle English Podcast. Until next time, keep your ears open and your curiosity open. That's where the magic happens.
You've got this. We'll see you in the next episode.